Hi, my name is Ax. I'm an instant healing hypnotherapist, and in this video, I'm going to talk to you guys about my childhood traumas, how they influenced my life, and how did I finally overcome them. So let's get started. Now, to talk about my childhood. Now, we need to understand between the ages of 1 to 9, our subconscious mind is developing. So between the ages of 1 to 9, my childhood was filled with trauma. I didn't have a good relationship with my father because my father comes from a mindset where he feels he needs to be that military dad and he needs to discipline me. And he's a firm believer of spare the rod, spoil the child. And rod was the least that he used. If you guys haven't noticed, there's a mark on my nose. These are the stitches I got at the age of 3 because my dad threw a glass on my face because he asked me to keep them dishes in the kitchen and I refused because I was a naughty child. So that's just to give you the perspective of the amount of violence that was in my childhood. Now, my dad was really abusive in terms of beating me up. So he was physically abusive and he was verbally abusive. Now, here's something that happened. Between these ages, I was a bit chubby kid, and my dad didn't like that. So he would put me on the treadmill, beat the shit out of me, and I would have to run at least an hour on the treadmill because he didn't like me as a chubby kid. So I developed the sort of a sense where I felt fat means ugly. And how do you get fat? You get fat by eating more. So I had this fear of eating in public. I would avoid eating in public because I was like, if these people are going to notice that I'm eating, they will probably be like, all right, that's why he's fat and he's ugly. Then my dad didn't like the fact that a child can speak up. So I wasn't supposed to speak up or question his authority. So he would beat the shit out of me if I ever tried to question his authority. Due to that, I developed a really bad stuttering problem because I was just so nervous anytime I had to speak. Then, due to all this violence, as the result of all of this, what happened is I became really sensitive to touch. I didn't like anyone touching me. I was so sensitive to the touch that if anyone kept their hand on me, I would be really creeped out by it. So that is what my childhood was like. And these are the patterns that I became really familiar with. And this is what you're going to observe, that the familiarity that you develop between the ages of 1 to 9 keeps mimicking, or it keeps a ripple effect in your life. And that's what happened even in my adult relationships. Now, fast forward to my relationships. Now, all my relationships sort of had the same element. I attracted these women who would treat me like shit. They would verbally abuse me, emotionally abuse me, and to the point that even it got physical. And I even got slapped by one of my exes, and she would throw away my cell phone because she didn't like the fact that I wanted my privacy. And she was like, nah, you do not deserve any privacy. And I was like, come on, if I can touch your phone, you can't touch my phone. She was like, nah, let's throw your cell phone away. So there was a lot of abuse, and due to that, what she was making me feel, she made me feel ugly. She made me feel like I couldn't speak or stand up for myself or speak about what actually hurt me. She can hurt me, but I can't speak up. So those were the dynamics of my adult relationships. Now, what actually happened in most of my relationship was, since I had that fear of being touched, I would avoid any form of intimacy. To the point that a couple of my exes would even claim that either I'm gay or asexual. But the fact is, I really feared being touched. I didn't want to be touched, and these people actually thought that, you know what, maybe he's not into it. However, one of the most important thing is, this fear of touch wasn't with everyone. So anyone I was really emotionally attached to, or I felt like, all right, this person actually knows me, I didn't mind their touch. So what happened is, when I met the real girl that I actually fell in love, who I believe is a really awesome person. So when she hugged me, I was so unfamiliar with that kind of touch that my heartbeat was like as if I've been on treadmill for 20 minutes. It was beating so freaking fast that even she noticed it, and she was like, hey, is everything all right with you? Because your heart is beating really fast. And I'm like, I don't know to do because this is not what I'm really familiar with. So if you observe, this is something that I never experienced in my childhood. So as an adult, when this is happening, I am totally clueless about what to do. Now, then fast forward, you have to understand something. Even though that these were some unhealthy patterns, even when I tried to be healthy, my traumas were influencing me. So I got inside fitness. I was like, I do not need to be fat because fat is ugly and I don't want to be ugly. So I got inside fitness. But even in fitness, when I started transforming my body, my entire aim at that point was to become physically intimidating. Now, if you observe, the only reason I'm trying to become physically intimidating is because I was abused as a child and I felt really threatened. So what do? I transform myself into someone who can't be touched. And if there was any kind of violence involved, if anyone would threaten me, best believe there was going to be a fist fight and I wouldn't stop until I knocked the other person out. And I had this need for physical violence anytime someone tried to threaten me. Now, fast forward, I became a hypnotherapist and I started studying what am I going through? Why is it happening to me? And I started understanding that each and everything that I went through as a child was now repeating in my life, and everything that I'm doing is a response to my traumas, to my inner child. So I started healing myself and I started working on each and every problem individually. Now, here's something you guys need to understand about trauma. Anytime you're trying to heal a trauma, you need to first of all understand why does your subconscious mind develop trauma. So anytime you go through any situation that influences some sort of negative experience upon you, your subconscious mind goes like, all right, so this person just went through shit and he doesn't know how to deal with this. So you know what? I'm going to plant these several different triggers inside his subconscious mind. So anytime he's remotely in a situation that mimics that trauma, these triggers are going to go haywire. So what your subconscious mind does is it holds on to that trauma and the triggers. The best way to heal the trauma is to let your subconscious mind know that you have learned the lesson and you are now really capable of dealing with this kind of situation. So the moment subconscious mind knows that, all right, this person now knows how to deal with this situation, so I do not need to be so vigilant and plant these triggers inside of him, and it removes those triggers. But the most important part is the subconscious mind wants to know that you have learned the lesson and you are not going to repeat it. So I was like, all right, now this fear of not eating in public, how do I heal that? And when I started acknowledging these lessons by connecting to my subconscious mind, I realized something. I was too focused on the way I look. And I realized as a hypnotherapist that people do not get attracted to you just by the way you look. Looks are only 1/5 of the attraction because human beings have 5 senses. So if you want to become appealing, you have to be appealing to all the 5 senses, not just the look. But I was conditioned within my childhood that fat was ugly. And so there was a lot of focus on the visual aspects of attraction. So I was like, all right, so I do not have to just focus on the way I look, but I also have to focus on the way I smell, the way I speak. Does that sound something that people want to hear? The way I would listen to other people, and the way I would make other people feel so that they would find me attractive through all 5 senses. And once I acknowledged that lesson, boom, I was no longer afraid of eating in public. Now, when I got to the point of stutter, the only reason I was afraid of speaking was because I thought the other person would backlash at me. So the lesson that I had to acknowledge was that I need to speak my truth. And I need to stand up for myself. And once I acknowledged those lessons, boom, I was able to speak flawlessly. Now, coming to the last, the sense of touch that I was so creeped out by. Once I started to remove that, the lesson that came to my subconscious mind was that you should have your boundaries. If anyone doesn't treat you well, you have to stand up for yourself. And you shouldn't allow that kind of behavior in your life. And once I acknowledged that, that creepy feeling I used to get when someone used to touch me was gone. Now, I'm not saying I was going around hugging people. Nah, I still would prefer that if I have some sort of emotional connection with someone, I'm really comfortable, but I'm not creeped out by a handshake or if someone keeps their hand on me. So that part is over. Now, if you see, the moment I healed all of this, I started attracting good relationships into my life that were really healthy. And I started becoming really familiar with good patterns. So the lesson that you need to learn from what I went through is whatever happened between the ages of 1 to 9 will keep repeating in your life until you heal your inner child. Your inner child is your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind is only trying to protect you. The only way it knows to protect you is by installing these triggers, and it's going to remove all those triggers if you acknowledge the lessons. So lastly, what I had to do was that sense of violence that I had inside of me, where I just wanted to get inside a physical fist fight. It was because my inner child was abused. I was abused, and my inner child wanted to express what it went through. The only way it could express what I went through was inflicting pain upon someone else so that the whole world can see that this is what even happened to me. So as I acknowledge the lessons, and the lesson was pretty simple. You do not need to inflict pain upon other people to speak what happened to you. It can be really simple with your words. And the moment I acknowledged that, the need for physical violence was gone. It just vanished. And now I am the most calm person in any conversation. I mean, best believe if there is a big fight, I'm the person who's going to resolve it in the most peaceful and loving manner. Because I learned my lessons, so my triggers are gone. This is what you guys need to focus on. With instant healing hypnosis, I did pretty much everything in less than 3 to 5 minutes. But if you want to take the long route, you have to acknowledge the lessons. Once you acknowledge the lessons and once you obey those lessons that your subconscious mind wants to teach you, your triggers will be gone, your trauma will be gone. With instant healing hypnosis, we just fast track everything and we can achieve all of this in less than 3 to 5 minutes. And if you would be interested in that, it is something for you guys. Hi, I am Axe, an instant healing hypnotherapist. I have developed a 15-day instant healing program. In these 15 days, I will teach you how to understand your subconscious mind map and patterns to identify your relationship blockages. Then using instant healing hypnosis, I will teach you how to instantly heal any toxic recurring patterns, trauma-born, depression, anxiety, PTSD, or any form of physical pain in less than 3 minutes. As a bonus, I will be giving you my special conversational hypnosis method that will make you an instant magnet for anyone in less than 1 minute. Book your free mini therapy session with me by clicking the link to my website in the description below, and let's discuss how we can completely transform your life.